out the box. Fresh out the box.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out, the podcast, greatest podcast in the universe. I am the board game guru, game master extraordinaire, Jahananan.
It's me, Casualty CDG, co-host of Fresh Out the podcast and Fresh Out the Box. If you like tabletop role-playing games, check out Fresh Out the Box TTRPG. Just type it into your Google or Bing machine. If people are still out there binging stuff, you can Bing it. Otherwise, I'd like to welcome you to the gariest podcast that is.
And I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse Drew Munhausen. Welcome to episode 119 to Fresh Out the Podcast. I really liked the Bing callback there. We haven't had a Bing reference in a while. Just make sure you're still binging when you need to look up things. That's
Bing
a
away,
wonderful
dude.
Service.
Someone's got to put Bing on the map. You know, it's not going to happen on its own.
Hey, and you know what? That's a Microsoft product, which is a perfect transition already into the first topic of conversation here.
Microsoft is bringing Bing to PlayStation?
Now, okay. Game Pass is one thing. Bing,
Game
holy
changer,
cow. Could
right?
you imagine? Cities
Instead
would
of
be
Googling
leveled.
stuff, you could Bing
Oh,
stuff on
man.
your PlayStation.
We've talked so much about Xbox the past two episodes that we've done because we had, the rumor mill was a churning, and then we talked more about it last week, and then, the official Xbox podcast came out last week where they kind of laid everything to rest. And at the end of the day, in breaking, shocking news, Twitter and Reddit kind of overreacted to rumors, and who would have thought that was even possible, right? Who would have thought? Jahan, I think I have to give you credit because I feel like you more than anyone of us was like, I just don't think that there's anything to all of this. Am I remembering this correctly?
Yeah, I definitely said something to that effect because, it's just a bunch of... I mean, it always happens. It happens every time, especially with consoles and video games. You can't trust anything until it's in your hands when it comes to the video game industry anymore. You can't trust anything.
Right. It's true. And so here's some of the quick bullet points on what they did go over. They did confirm that there's going to be 4 Xbox titles that are going multi-platform here soon. Phil Spencer would not say what the titles were because he said that the studios that produce those have their own release plans and he didn't want to step on any toes. But when asked directly if any of those 4 games were Starfield or Indiana Jones, he said no, that they were not. He said all the games that were going to be going multi-platform were all over a year old, and just, again, confirmed it wasn't Starfield or Indiana Jones. So we'll see. There's the speculation behind what those 4 games are Sea of Thieves, Grounded, Pentiment, and Hi-Fi Rush. And to me, that all seems pretty reasonable. Sea of Thieves especially is like, what, a 6 or 7-year-old game at this point?
Honestly, seems like the only one out of the bunch that I would want to play if I was a PlayStation guy.
Right. Hi-Fi Rush is pretty fun, but it's not really a Gary game in
Correct.
particular.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be more like Jet Set Radio, and it was not.
Yeah. And same for Pentiment, not a Gary game, I'd say. Grounded, I don't know. I never really dabbled in Grounded. I did when it was an early preview.
Gary played a bit.
It was not for me.
Yeah, there were things about it that were cool, but that's a whole genre, right? That whole survival multiplayer crafting genre. That's a whole thing now, and Grounded is not one of the stars of that genre, not by a long shot.
It definitely got really good towards the end of the open play, but I mean, there are other games. There's one that just came out that I'm planning on trying out called Nightingale. where you planeswalk through different Fey realms, and it looks pretty cool. So the survival genre is still going hard. Another one I'm looking forward to is the one that takes place on Arrakis in the world of Dune. Last time I checked, you actually get classes, so you can be like a mentat or a sword fighter or whatever. So it's pretty cool.
That sounds really cool. I'm all about Dune right now. I'll mention it a little bit later, but I also wanted to say, let's see. Phil also said, it's regarding the hardware rumors that they might not be making more hardware. He said hardware is where you get the most flagship seminal Xbox experience. So they're still making hardware. They still have plans, and they're even going to have announcements regarding hardware later this year. So I don't know if that means like a slimmed down version of the Series X or like an upgrade of some sort, but there's going to be more hardware announcements. They announced a big June showcase. Basically, at the end of the day, everybody overreacted. Xbox isn't going anywhere. They are experimenting, I should say, with multi-platform games, which I think is smart, especially for those games that were all listed that are maybe like the growth of the player bases there have kind of stagnated. Like, I don't know how many new players Sea of Thieves is getting regularly. Like, yeah, open it up to PlayStation and maybe there'll be crossplay, and it opens up a whole lot of new people, and it'll reignite the Xbox gamers to play with new adversaries, new people that are learning the game that they can troll. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's a fun pirate game. I have friends that play on PlayStation that are excited about the idea of playing Sea of Thieves together. So, I think that this is a smart move for them, and why not? I will go ahead and make a prediction now. I don't think this is a super bold, fresh prediction, but I do think that Starfield in particular will come to PlayStation at some point. I think that they've said that right now it's not part of those 4 games. That game's also not even a year old from when it released. I'm saying Starfield will come to PlayStation 5 at some point in the future.
I agree that it will, and I would say probably Christmas time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would make sense. I think that game released in September, so give it at least a year on Xbox, and I could see that, Christmas time would be smart. Or, maybe summer of 2025, something like that, if it's not Christmas time. I'm not going to specify a time frame in my prediction, which I think maybe is a little bit cowardly, but I'm just going to say Starfield to PS5.
Hey, if they get
sometime.
Starfield, then I want us to get Helldivers, because I really want to play that.
Have you seen the petition going around?
Yeah, I saw the petition. There's a petition going around to get it.
Did you sign the petition?
No, I haven't signed it yet.
I signed the petition today. Yeah. First, I read the article about it, and then like 2 or 3 hours went by, and I was like, you know what? Why not? The first article I read was from yesterday and said it already has over 25,000 signatures. Today, when I signed it, it had over 50,000 signatures, so it's doubled in the past 24 hours. Surely it will not, Helldivers 2 will not come to Xbox, but I do love this outspoken response that people want it so bad.
I mean, I do. It looks really good. It's one of those out of nowhere hits, and I want to go hell dive with my buddy. So,
This is exactly what I was telling you guys when we were talking about, what are you looking forward to this year? And I said, I'm looking forward to the games that we don't know to look forward to. Helldivers is exactly the kind of game, a co-op alien killing game. The kind of thing that was on no one's radar that for sure could be my game of the year pick if I ever get a chance to play it.
Yeah. No, but same. I mean, I can't wait to see what hasn't been announced, because a lot of times really good games come out of nowhere. So
yeah, I want to play what I don't know that I want to play. I want something new and fresh and original that I don't know what it is. I don't just want another Call of Duty or whatever. I want something else.
No, very
the Helldivers 2 is really not the type of game I would usually go out of my way to play, just because I'm not like as much of a multiplayer online gamer. However, there's so many good video compilations of like the hilarious things that happen when playing that game, whether things you do to your teammates or whatever, that have made it look really fun to jump into.
It looks so great. Yeah.
So John, you haven't played Helldivers 2 yet. I thought you were already that you had played it a little bit.
I want to, But for a minute, I was like holding out hope that me and Gary were going to get to play it. But that's not the case, so I might just play it anyways on Steam. But, you know, if I do, I'll report back. There's a few other games that are on my radar right now that I might jump into instead, though. Like Nightingale, like I said.
Fair enough. Fair enough. The only other note about the Xbox stuff is that they did say that Activision Blizzard games would start coming to Game Pass soon, with Diablo 4 being the first of those, and it has an official date for its Game Pass launch, which I believe is March something, late March. Jahan, I know that was a game you were kind of purposefully avoiding. When that comes to Game Pass, will you try out Diablo 4?
I'll try it out, but I haven't heard anything that makes me feel differently about it than I did when it was announced.
Spoiler alert, it's hot dick. And I mean that in a bad way. It's not good hot dick. It is bad hot dick, and probably not worth your time even.
Oh, I disagree. I had a really great time with Diablo 4 and playing my first run through of the campaign and playing through with friends. It's just once you get past that first campaign with a character, I feel like the post game has struggled, and I don't think that any of the seasons that have followed have really done much yet to rectify it or make it truly where we want it to be. I think it's getting there. I think that if somebody were to jump into that game now without ever having played it before, that you'd find a lot to enjoy there.
Fair. I mean, it's free on Game Pass, and I like free games. I might give it a shot. I remember when they announced it and I saw Lilith for the first time. I was like, that looks cool. But, yeah, Blizzard just does not deliver like they used to. I was just talking about that the other day, about how, like, what happened? They were, like, one of the best companies. They made StarCraft. They made World of Warcraft. And then nothing. And then
that was it.
Yeah, that was it.
Warcraft was it.
Coming from the guys that are back to playing Overwatch 2 every night.
Yeah, we play Overwatch 2 a lot, but Overwatch 2...
free.
It's free, and it was a massive disappointment on the launch. It's gotten better, I feel. They're more on track, but definitely not what they promised. Still no PvE, blah blah blah. But yeah, not to get too in the weeds on it.
Yeah, I'm with you, Jahan. And even though we are playing Overwatch 2, it's not like we're handing them our hard-earned money. We have 5 guys who are trying to play games. We need a 5-man squad. Apex is only 3. Battlefield is only 4. So it actually just fits. It fits our roster really well for a 5-man game.
Yeah, and it is fun. I like the champions.
You gotta remember, since the first Overwatch, well, I guess since Overwatch 2, Microsoft bought Blizzard, and then everybody got fired for sexual harassment, and then everybody got laid off again this year. So I don't even know who's around to work on Diablo 4 or what the game plan is or the long-term plan. I'm surprised they're even releasing seasonal content still, just because I can't imagine how crazy it's been at the Blizzard building over there.
Maybe they got rid of all their shitheads, and now they got a mean, lean coding team or something. I don't know.
It's just kind of crazy that you spend all this money buying Blizzard, who hasn't done much since World of Warcraft, and then you fired everybody.
See, they did it for the man. All right, my fresh prediction.
The IP.
My fresh prediction is it was for the IPs, and that we're going to see some sort of hot new Blizzard IP revival sometime in the future. Maybe in the next. I would expect an announcement in 2025 of like a StarCraft game or something. So that's
I just wrote that down.
That's
so
my fresh prediction.
We'll see. I think the cleaning house, as far as Activision Blizzard go, it doesn't seem to be unique to them. There's been mass layoffs across the entire gaming industry, and I think it's just a problem of games are just so expensive to make now, and only the strong survive. But there's definitely the numbers of people being laid off coming out of Activision Blizzard are kind of insane. And I do agree. I think there's a lot there that's for the IP. But it sounds like Blizzard and Activision were planning to do a lot of mass layoffs, whether or not Microsoft bought them or not. So it seems like that was kind of in the works anyway. But it's still sad to see, and people are losing jobs. And it is going to be interesting to see how these franchises and studios are handled beyond this. Anything
gotta
else on the
love
on the Xbox conversation?
You gotta love the life of a millennial where you work really hard for your dream job and you work for Google and then they lay you off, and then you work really hard for Blizzard and then they lay you off, and then you work hard for Twitter and they lay you off, and then you work hard for Facebook and they lay you off. It's really, really hopeful.
I wonder if there's
It's
somebody
really
that has the Infinity Gauntlet of all the major tech companies being laid off from them. You know,
Oh yeah, if they've been laid off from all of them,
from Twitter, Google, freaking Blizzard, Xbox. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
All right, Drew. I don't know if I want you to move on to the next thing.
Oh, I can't
Do
wait
I
to talk
have-
about the next thing.
Do I have a choice?
No, you don't, because Jahan and I together went and saw Madam Web, the newest Marvel release from Sony Studios, so a spin-off of the Spider-Man universe. And Jahan, how do you even want to go about this conversation? Because there's a lot of ways to approach it here. We could do it a traditional review. We could try to explain the plot to Gary. You know, what are you?
Oh yeah, I want to
here?
try to explain the plot to Gary. That's great.
I want you guys to know, first of all, I don't know who Madam Web is or how she fits into Spider-Man's story at all.
Congratulations. I think you line up with about 99.999% of the Earth's population.
The movie
yeah.
no
She
one asked
is-
for.
She is a character in Spider-Man comics, usually a supporting character, typically depicted as like a really old lady who's like hooked up to this mechanical contraption that resembles a spider web, and she is clairvoyant. And that's really all I know. And I believe she has like a muscular disability, like that makes it so she can't walk on her own or unsupported. It's strange. I'm honestly not that familiar, and the times that she has popped up in the comics I've read, I was not interested in her. So the decision to make an entire movie based around her is an inspired choice, I would say, or maybe not.
So, like, Minority Report, then. The movie's going to be like Minority Report because she's in a web and she's clairvoyant. She can see the future. So, this movie's going to be like Minority Report, right? She's going to help fight the crime in the city with her
I
clairvoyance.
wish it was like Minority Report. It's not. It's not at all, Gary. Minority Report was a great movie.
Okay, so we'll just start with saying full spoilers for Madam Web.
Yeah, no one
the
cares.
movie.
No one cares.
I do not have like the Wikipedia page pulled up or anything because I want to try to go about this completely by memory because I think that will be much funnier. Jahan, do you want to kick off with the opening or do you want me to?
Oh yeah, opening. It opens in Peru, right?
Yes.
All right, opening. Jungles.
1973.
1973. The jungles of darkest Peru. A white lady's looking through a bunch of native people's shit. So she can steal their sacred spider or something. So this lady goes to Peru. She's looking for a rumored spider that gives the Arañas people their legendary abilities to climb like spiders. Yeah. So there's a spider in Peru.
Yeah, she's looking to get it in order to use it for healing properties.
Yeah.
But apparently these spiders in this part of Peru are protected by the people that Jahan referred to called Las Arañas, people who have the ability to climb and jump like
Oh
spiders.
man, Gary, if you could see them, they have like red body paint on, and then they have these vines that drape over them, so it looks like they're wearing Spider-Man's suit.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so stupid.
That's so cool.
And then they're jumping around in the trees, and they're like super fast, but somehow they can't catch the bad guy that's running away on foot through unfamiliar jungles. But anyways, she finds the spider like minutes after being like, I must find this spider. You go back without me. 10 minutes later, she's in camp. I found the spider. This guy who she's with that was paid to protect her betrays her, like, obviously.
His name is Ezekiel.
His name's Ezekiel.
is her like paid protection while out in the jungles.
And this guy can act. Let me tell you, Gary. Oh boy, this guy, he'll make you say,
not to
Jim
derail you.
Caviezel who?
Not to derail you, but is he a big character in the Spider-Man comic books, Drew?
No, not at all.
He's also a supporting role, but there is a actually really well liked run of comics where that had a storyline featuring Ezekiel.
No
Actually,
joke.
Gary, this is a good question to ask Thomas about because Thomas is a big fan of the Ezekiel character
Oh,
and the character
boy.
arc that features Ezekiel.
Oh, he must be so mad if he sees this movie. But anyway, Thomas, if you're listening, oh boy, go check out your boy in this movie. It's rough.
It's worth noting Tahir Rahim, I think, is the actor's name that plays Ezekiel in this movie, and he does end up being he's like the main villain, and his dialogue is all really terrible. Most of his lines seem like they don't even match up with his mouth. I am assuming either due to big rewrites or something being wrong with his voice or accent, they had to re-record like all of his lines. It's all really, really bad. Like really, it's atrociously bad.
It's one of the worst things you'll see. But yeah, so anyways, this guy shoots this lady who is pregnant, by the way, in the jungles of Peru, like 9 months pregnant. She gets shot. She's dying. The Arañas people take her back to their magic cave and put her in the healing waters, and then place upon her the magic spider that bites her.
She tried to steal that they were chasing her for,
Yeah.
and then now they're going to heal her with it?
They heal her with it, and
This
then
this is already... I'm sorry, go on.
she gives birth to her child during this process, and then dies because the magic healing spider does
stone didn't work.
It does not save her life at all.
Look, dude, this is what I was going
It
to say in the
saves
first
the
place.
child.
It saves the child's life.
This
saves
is
the
what I was
child's
going to
life.
say in the first place. No, it didn't, because that makes no sense, because that's stupid, because those people aren't healing people. They are climbing people. That's a climbing stone that she tried to steal. And that's why when they brought her back, she died, because it's not a healing stone and it never was.
But so this baby grows up to become a paramedic in New York City.
Yep. Cut to
The
it is
90s.
now 2003.
Oh, is it 2003? I thought it
We're,
was.
we're in the early 2000s. That feels like it's the 90s.
Oh yeah, it
But,
was because it was right after 9/11. That's right.
It's early 2003. Cassandra Webb, who is the baby that was born in the Los Arañas cave waters, is now an adult in New York City working as like an EMS worker. Like she's driving an ambulance.
And you
with her-
imagine the things that she had to overcome coming all the way out of a Peruvian jungle, going to the Big Apple.
Well, her character-wise, all she had to overcome was foster care, which is a pretty
Right.
big deal. But
She's now an EMS worker. Her partner is played by Adam Scott, who I believe from Severance and Parks and Rec and lots of other comedies.
whose character's name is
His character's name is Ben Parker, like as in Uncle Ben, the Uncle Ben of Spider-Man fame. So Adam Scott is a young Ben Parker who is the EMS partner of Cassandra Webb in
Why?
this film.
no
And-
one knows. No one knows.
They're saving lives, and as they're going about their business,
Wait.
you get little glimpses of these three girls, like brief interactions. But yeah, like it is clear that Cassandra Webb, she goes by Cassie a lot of the times. Not like the most people person of all. She's
Yeah, she's very
was
antisocial.
She was born in a Peruvian jungle. You know what I mean? To Las Arañas, the spider people.
But before we move on, Gary, I just want you to guess. Do you think that the fact that she is friends with Ben Parker ever matters in the story?
No, I
No,
don't think
it could have
Yeah, I
been
don't think so.
anybody. It's not important that he's Spider-Man's uncle.
so. When you guys found out that he was Ben Parker, your like jaw didn't drop. You weren't like, "Oh shit!"
Oh,
Ben
that feels
Parker."
tame compared to the things that come.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So
All
you
right.
guys
So
are
then-
already bamboozled.
So,
at
anyways,
this point.
she has a near-death experience, right, in which she's drowning when she's trying to save somebody. Ben resuscitates her. During this period of time, she connects to the web of everything, and then can start glimpsing the future. Her powers awaken that have been dormant her whole life that she got from Las Arañas, because apparently their people are connected to the fabric of time.
You think
her,
maybe
her powers just
think
being
maybe-
clairvoyance.
you think maybe Uncle Ben is like a X-Men level mutant
Who
and
can
he
give people powers?
people Powers, yeah.
It's a
that would
very
be a good
strange
plot twist.
scene. They're like saving a guy from a car that's overturned and hanging off of a bridge. They rescue the guy. She gets stuck in the car. It falls off the bridge into water, and she's like underwater. And all of a sudden has this awakening where she
Well,
becomes
yeah,
clairvoyant.
because
It doesn't
she
really
was
make much sense.
She was born in water and then reborn in water. You know.
So,
It's symbolic
meanwhile,
or something.
meanwhile, while all this is happening, you get cuts to Ezekiel,
Oh boy.
the villain from the opening scene. He's still around in 2003. It's clear that he now has superhuman abilities from the spider that he stole. He can climb on walls and, is strong and can jump and stuff. But he's having visions of the future as well. And in his visions, he's seeing 3 young spider women, 3 different women dressed in
Hold
spider
on, give me a pause.
superhero
Give me a pause real
attire.
quick. Give me a pause. He stole the stone, but I thought they took the mom
no,
back to the healing
it's not a stone.
waters.
It's a living spider.
I thought they took the mom back to the healing waters and put a spider on her. Is
Yeah.
it
No.
just
So
a different-
she found the spider. Ezekiel shoots her and takes the spider. The Las Arañas come and save the woman who's about to die, take her back to the cave and save her with one of their own spiders that bites her to rescue
Another
her.
spider.
There's
Ezekiel-
millions of these spiders, Gary.
Ezekiel escapes
Okay.
with the spider. So now in
there are more.
2003,
So many.
He's having visions of his own death at the hands of these 3 girls that are different spider heroes, spider women. And he has now invested all of his time and funds into stealing high-tech equipment that can identify these 3 women and where they are in the current timeline so that he can kill them before they get spider powers and in turn kill him.
And that's his whole villain arc, baby.
That's his whole plan. He wants to find these 3 high school aged girls that are not spider superheroes yet in order to kill them before they become spider superheroes and can kill them.
But boy, did those visions help them market it as a movie where we get to see these spider women fight people.
Okay, I don't hate that arc for a villain. I do kind of hate that they're all Spider-Man girls, they're all Spider-Girl women, they're all Spider Women. I think that's kind of dumb. But I don't hate that a villain thinks that he knows the future and is going to go kill these people before they can stop him. I do kind of like that.
There's nothing
villain
wrong
arc.
with it on its own.
Yeah, that's
But
a good
oh
arc.
boy.
That's okay. Just that part. So far, of everything you guys have said about the movie, just that part is okay.
Yeah, also all 3 of the Spider Women have different spider powers. It's not the same spider powers, but they never explain how they get those powers.
Probably from all the Las Arañas spiders that are just like millions of
No,
them out
because
in
those
the
give you one kind of power. They have
Healing?
3 different kinds.
Does it give you healing power?
No, not
No, it doesn't.
You can see the future and climb walls.
So cut back to Cassie Webb, whose clairvoyant powers are awakening. And meanwhile, Ben Parker, her partner, has mentioned a few times that she's supposed to come with him to this baby shower.
Yeah.
And she's like reluctant to go, but ultimately ends up going. You find out at this baby shower, the baby shower is for Ben Parker's sister-in-law, Mary Parker, played by Emma Roberts, who is pregnant in the movie and about to looking like she's about to burst.
Give
So you
birth
realize
to
that this
Tom
baby
Holland.
shower that has been alluded to is the baby shower for the future Peter Parker that will be born from Mary Parker.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Richard Parker is mentioned, but he is out of town on science adventures or something. It's very unclear.
It's a baby shower for Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's Spider-Man's baby shower. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyways, that's a big scene
I wish
in
you
the
guys
movie.
at
There's
home could see
actually
Gary's face. It's good. He's upset.
There's actually some good comedy at points during the scene. They also never will say that the baby's name is Peter. They're like doing one of
So
those baby
weird.
shower games of like, guess what the baby's name is, but every time they're about to say it, like a balloon pops or something happens so that they never say Peter. And then cut to in the future, I don't even remember how or why, but eventually Cassie ends up in like on a subway train,
I don't want to.
and it just so happens to be she's on the train.
Okay,
with
I remember how.
three-
So anyways, before the
three
baby
girls.
shower, the baby shower is the day after she almost dies, and then they're at a scene later. She fails to use her future saving villain, her future seeing powers to save the life of a fellow paramedic. And then the funeral. She's trying to get to the funeral on the
That's
train.
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
When this happens, and so she's on the train. So. About the saving the paramedic. This is a see. I noticed this thing. Oh, I don't want to get into the weeds about it. There's a huge continuity problem with this guy dying. It's really funny. I noticed it. He gets hit by a truck that was seemingly driving towards the water. So it's fine. It's whatever. But
like an 18-wheeler that's just going like 90
Full
miles
tilt.
per hour down a road that ends in water, and it makes no sense other than to be a plot point and murder this man.
yeah, it's really funny. But anyways, so yeah, she's on the train. She keeps having these visions of people getting on the
All right,
train.
I do like that. That reminds me of the T-1000 in Terminator 2 when he's chasing him in the semi-truck down the bayou. I love that this guy just got creamed by a Terminator just for being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Oh, you
I'm
think he was
okay with
chasing
that.
Sarah Connor or something?
No doubt. 100%. That's what I think was going on.
That's what I will choose to believe as well, because that's good. I like that. But yeah, so on the subway, the three girls get on one by one. She has a vision of this.
No,
of
not
this-
the three
so-
girls.
So
The
as
three
fate would
spider
have
girls.
it, and to be clear, as fate would have it, Ezekiel's using his high-tech, equipment, surveillance equipment, and identifies the three girls and sees that they're all in the train station at the same time, as fate would
dude.
have it.
Wow.
So then they
dude.
all end up on the same
and the
train
conversation goes like this: why are they all on the train together? What's binding them together? Nothing yet. That's the conversation.
This is absolutely true.
The future telling stuff in this, the conversation that comes from that is priceless. It's
All right.
priceless.
So on the
Nice.
train,
Sorry.
Cassie starts having visions of these three girls being brutally murdered by Ezekiel. Like slamming their heads down on subway seats,
Snapping necks
like on
and
the edges
cashing
of them,
checks,
snapping
baby.
necks. Yeah. And so she then tries to alert the girls they need to get off the train and come away with her because their lives are in danger. Of course, they're like, who's this crazy lady yelling at us? They get off the train with her. They see
Excuse
Ezekiel.
me. You know exactly who I am. I'm Spider-Man's uncle's friend.
The unborn Spider-Man's uncle's friend.
You
Right.
know exactly who I am.
So she manages to get the girls off the train. They do have an encounter with Ezekiel, who is now in like a black and red spider suit. The suit is interesting, and it does look like it comes from the like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. It's got like the raised webbing. It's not webbing. It's like a black suit with like kind of just like crossed red lines all over. It's interesting with like a red sash around the waist. How would you describe it, John?
Confusing, because why is that the only possible costume design for a spider person? He looks just like Spider-Man. It doesn't make any sense.
It's true. And so
I
they have
think-
an encounter.
I looked it
The
up real
girls.
quick, just to Google it, just to see, and I think his costume looks pretty cool. Except I don't like Jahan said, maybe the mask. Like, why can't Spider-Man have a different mask? But the black and red.
Black and red's
reminds me
fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's just, why does he have to look like Spider-Man? It's so
Looks
weird.
like something like a It's like something out of the 90s. It's like something Kane would wear in wrestling without the mask.
You know that there was a producer on the sidelines that kept saying, make him look more like Spider-Man.
Yeah, but they should have been saying that about the girls' costumes. Holy crap, those are... Go ahead, guys.
Well, we can kind of fast forward a bit because basically, naturally Cassie escapes with the girls. They steal a taxi cab, steal it, and get away. A stolen cab, middle of Manhattan. You
don't have to steal the cab, actually. You can get in and you can tell the guy where to go. That's actually the purpose of them.
They steal it. It then becomes this kind of cat and mouse of them trying to hide out, her telling the girls to remain, unseen, keep on the down low, the girls doing stupid things to get noticed so that Ezekiel can then find them, and then they have to relocate to another location. There's a really good scene where Cassie has to leave to go take care of business, so the girls are left in the forest. They wander to a diner where Toxic by Britney Spears is playing, and the radio DJ makes sure to say, "This is going to be a real big hit, I've got a feeling," as Toxic plays by Britney Spears on the radio.
That song is awesome. That's is like an S tier song. I'm going to listen to Toxic after this, probably. That song slaps, though.
Sydney Sweeney, who plays one of the girls, starts making eyes with these football players sitting in the corner of this diner. All three girls somehow end up dancing on top of the table on these guys' table in the middle of a diner, and then Ezekiel comes in and essentially tries to murder them all. But Cassie has another clairvoyant moment and sees it happening and is able to go back and correct it so that it doesn't happen. They escape again, end up in a hotel room. There's a long stretch here where nothing is happening and they're sitting in hotel rooms just what do we do?
And goes back and stops it from happening? Is that what you said?
Yeah, she'll get a vision.
But we don't know she's having a vision. We just see everyone die, and then they're just kidding. It was all a dream. Over and over again. Right. That's what this movie is.
I was just making sure she didn't now gain some kind of small time travel power where she can go back and change things. So just making
sure. She did go back in time and hug her mom, though.
That happens later. Yeah, so then at this point, she takes the three girls to Ben Parker's house, to stay with Ben and his sister-in-law Mary.
So she can take the girls time out of running away from the murder machine to go to Peru.
Yeah, she wants to take a whole week to go to Peru to find out what happened to her mother.
She leaves the girls there, and everywhere they go, they get caught. So she basically just set Ben up to get murdered.
Basically. Yeah, basically.
More or less. So she then goes to Peru.
I forget which one of you pointed it out, though. She's also wanted for kidnapping at this point. They know who she is. She's wanted. There's an APB out. And it's 2 years after
the girls.
It's 2 years after September 11th. If she gets on a plane to Peru, my ass.
Absolutely.
And presumably,
it was funny. After the trip to Peru is seen driving her stolen taxi again. So I don't know if she drove the stolen taxi to the airport, proceeded to get on a plane to Peru. I'm not really quite positive how this all worked.
Maybe the taxi was never stolen. Maybe she had a clairvoyant moment where she knew that the driver had died from a heart attack or a stroke or something, and that the car was just up for grabs.
She ends up in Peru. She's following her mother's trail. She has all her mom's old adventuring notes. So she's following the pictures and trails, and she finds the Las Arañas, and the guy that saved her mother takes her to the caves and shows where she was born and explains
the best line
to her
in the
everything
whole
that
movie.
happened. Wow. Explained to her that she was supposed to be born with this muscular skeletal disease, but the spider bite saved her. The mom died there, and this is why she has clairvoyant powers. And then these Las Araña man then essentially delivers the "with great power comes great responsibility" line to Madam Webb, but it's just kind of jumbled. Jahan has been saying it a lot. How does he say the line, Jahan? Because he doesn't say "with great power comes great responsibility."
he says once you accept your responsibility, great power will be yours. we all died. We were dying in the theater, dude. We were laughing so hard. Fuck.
Yeah, that's good. That's a fortune cookie. That's terrible.
Oh my
Wow,
god.
that's good.
Not only did he say it, they say it again later.
Man. Oh, they doubled down on it. Oh, that
Oh,
hurts.
man.
So as Jahan alluded to, she has a vision where she like gets to go back and hug her mother in this time, and then it's like back to the present. She gets back to New York. Cut to the three girls are with Ben and Mary, and of course, what happens? Mary's water breaks. The birth of Peter Parker is imminent now in the movie.
Oh man.
So they have, Ben has to take Mary to the hospital. Can't leave these 16, 17-year-old girls by themselves, so they all come with them. And of course,
That was the part I didn't
tracking-
understand. Why would you take
Yeah, right.
Yeah, leave them
And
at home, dude.
Ezekiel's technology,
They're not
of course,
five.
sees them out and about. So then there becomes a big, like Times Square. Is it even Times Square? I don't even know.
Yeah, it
where
was Times
is. There's a
Square. It was Times
showdown.
Square. They did the classic hacker thing where they turned all the lights green. Gridlock happens. Spider-Man finds them. He's going to blow up the cab, but fortunately, Cassie has seen this coming, so she drives into this parking garage and then drives.
In a stolen ambulance.
In a stolen
She's already
ambulance.
stolen a taxi in this movie. She now steals an ambulance from a home where like paramedics are going into the house to presumably help somebody who's having like a cardiac episode. For all we know, steals their ambulance.
No.
So they're
No,
now
that,
without.
That ambulance was there because of the baby being
Oh,
born.
you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, there's some.
And don't worry,
planning
nobody
there.
died because of this. Well,
That's
In
right.
fact,
that's not
someone
true.
was born.
Those two paramedics were on duty, so presumably someone could have died later that night.
Yeah,
because,
the next call.
yeah, the
And
next
maybe
call
next
didn't
one,
work
too.
out.
Yeah, we're just stranded here. Spider-Man's uncle's friend took our ambulance.
But then, Drew, you like the next part where the thing happens where she hits him with the car.
Yeah, so there's a showdown. Ezekiel's about to get these girls. Cassie then proceeds to, having seen this all happen in her mind, drives an ambulance through, like, from a third-story parking garage through a giant electronic billboard into Ezekiel midair. An impressive feat, and traps him and manages to escape with the girls. They escape to a fireworks factory of some sort. There's a scene there with fireworks going off that are strong enough to break down brick walls. It's pretty impressive. They end up on the top of this building for the final showdown with Ezekiel. Worth noting, earlier in the movie at the baby shower scene, Cassie says like she wants a beer, and Ben Parker's like, no, you can't have a beer because you almost died yesterday. So here, have a Pepsi. She's drinking a Pepsi.
Oh
Like,
man, there's
really
so much product placement. dude.
really blatant product placement. Then the top of this
Mountain
warehouse
Dew,
where the
too.
final battle scene takes place, there's a giant Pepsi Cola neon sign across the top of this building that plays a part in the actual climax of this movie. Which essentially
Pepsi
is
saves the day. That's yeah.
all three girls are in immediate danger. Ezekiel gives Madam Webb a line, Cassie a line like, you can't save all of them. And she's like, I can. And then all of a sudden she like is able, her powers manifest that she can essentially be multiple places at the same time with her like clairvoyant powers. So she's now all of a sudden with all
We're
three
in
girls
the,
at
we're in
once,
the home stretch here.
helping
people.
them.
We're in the home stretch.
Yeah. She's helping them, manages to like kind of help them all, but then he punches her and it stops, and then ultimately she gets the better of Ezekiel because he's all about these girls are going to kill me, blah 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 blah, and she's like, no, really I was your future, and she ends up being Cassie is the cause of Ezekiel's demise.
But
And
during this, she falls in the water, loses the use of her legs, and then is blinded by
Oh,
a
yeah, this is
firework
very
hitting
important.
her. It's so important because she's in the hospital. She's blind now and paralyzed from the waist down, but she's smiling the whole time. And they're like, "You're blind." She's like, "I've never seen better." And she's saying all this corny shit like that nonstop.
So this is now, Ezekiel has been taken care of. The 3 girls are saved. Cassie's now in the hospital being taken care of for her injuries. Meanwhile, in like the room next door, baby Peter Parker has been born. Although again, they never say his name. You just see the baby. And now cut to the future for like the end scene of this movie. Cassie has now taken in the 3 girls, who are essentially all like runaways or don't have families. There's all explanation given to it. They all now live with her. None of them have spider powers yet, to be clear. This has all just been like 1 30-second vision that Ezekiel had where they have spider powers. They never get powers in the movie. But Cassie now has this just absolutely stellar pair of sunglasses that she wears. Not even sunglasses. It looks more like a Cyclops visor.
Yeah, it's like from
X-Men.
cyberpunk, like 80s neon punk style friggin' reflective lenses. It's great.
Yeah, she then she's now living with the 3 girls, and it is the most cliche, like seeing the future scene.
Dude.
Where the girls come in and they haven't said anything, and Cassie's like, "Oh, I love Chinese food," and they're like, "How'd you know we got Chinese food?" And then Cassie's like, "Oh, and bless you, Maddie," and Maddie's like, "What?" And then sneezes.
And then
It's
sneezes.
like,
Oh man, I lost my mind,
great.
dude.
It's great stuff.
And that's it. That's the movie. It was
ends with voiceover from Cassie saying, now these are her girls, and they may not have powers yet, but they will in the future. And you see like another vision of the girls with spider powers and Madam Web in like her own Spider-Man costume floating with these 3 girls. And that's it. So essentially this whole Madam Web movie has been like a prequel to a prequel where these girls, all over the marketing, you've seen the Spider Women and with their powers. They never have powers in this movie. You only see the Spider Women for about 30 seconds. Otherwise, they're just powerless teenagers for most of it. So if they were to do a sequel to this movie, presumably it would be those girls getting their powers and now ultimately becoming Spider Women and working with Madam Web. That's clearly never going to happen. There's no way that they'll ever make a sequel to this movie that's been
even if they
critically
wanted to, there's
damaged.
no way these actresses would sign on to that.
No, absolutely not. It's really unclear as you're watching the movie whether or not they're in on the joke or not. Like of how just terrible this movie is.
It's so bad. But yeah, that was the movie, Gary. What'd you think of Madam Web?
I don't like it.
Yeah, no one did. It was bad.
And us explaining it might be a struggle, but I promise you it's more entertaining than watching the movie itself. The main thing about this movie is long stretches of it are boring. It's almost 2 hours long. There's a lot of like just sitting around, what do we do next? And even the action scenes aren't very climactic at all. Like it's a pretty boring movie.
How and why did Ezekiel, when he was like 30, how did he betray the mom and then like 30 years later he was still like 30? Shouldn't he be like an old man trying to hunt them down?
My assumption there is that the spider powers maybe have somehow helped his aging.
Nope. Yep, you're good.
Well, because the
That's
Las
it. That's the
Arañas
spider.
guy also didn't really
Las
age
Arañas.
either.
Well, the
No
interesting thing is
No doubt.
Ezekiel looks exactly the same in 1973 and in 2003. But when he's having the visions of the Spider Women killing him, he has like gray temples. And but
Maybe
the
it's 200
girls
years
don't look
down the
older
line
than
then.
like a year or two older than where they would be now.
No
It makes
doubt,
no sense.
No doubt. Yeah, it does. It's
So
awesome.
ultimately, what this all comes down to is there are going to be 2 more movies set in this Sony Spider adjacent universe coming out this year. You've got Venom 3 coming out,
Oh boy.
and Kraven the Hunter is coming out this year as well. Kraven the Hunter was supposed to come out this past October. It got delayed a year due to the strikes. There is a trailer for that movie. It also doesn't look very good. And I can't imagine, even if Venom 3 is successful, like I don't know how. I don't think Sony's dumb enough to continue making any of these Spider-Man spin-offs.
Well, have you
I've
seen?
told you guys what you got to do, right? I told you the solution to this Craven problem. It's Craven versus Predator. That's the solution.
Oh, I'd
That's the
watch
movie
that.
you
That'd
need
be
to
so
make.
cool. Yeah.
That's the movie.
Get on it, Hulu. No, see,
We don't need to see a Craven solo story Spider-Verse spinoff. Just make him on par with Predator and give us an hour and a half, and then Craven's established. I don't care how he got his powers. I don't care who trained him. None of that matters right now. Just show me Craven. Give me Craven. We'll figure the rest out. He's the hunter. That's all we need to know.
I'm so tired of origin stories. But yeah, no, the only reason
What's really good about this, Jahan, this one that you guys just explained to me, is it's not just an origin story. It is an origin story with an origin story that's a prequel for an origin story, and also Spider-Man's being born for his story.
Yes.
It's just prequels.
It's the ultimate
1,000%.
prequels. It's prequelception. Yeah, 100%. No, so the only reason why I think that they might ever make another Madam Web is because, have you seen Venom 2?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're making a Venom 3. That's the only reason I think a Madam Web 2 is possible, because Venom 2 was
a really good defense.
Garbage.
And dude, look at it like this. Think about it like this, okay? Batgirl was even worse.
In theory. But the continued efforts of WB to cancel things for insurance money leads me to believe I don't think it was that bad. I think they're just greedy fucks.
Even worse.
I still personally think that by comparison, Venom Let There Be Carnage is like Citizen Kane compared to Madam Web. Like just
maybe
Madam Web is that bad to me. I also brought this up when I was talking to Jahan about this after the movie, and Kyle and Zach, some friends of the show. They at one point were going to make a movie called Silver and Black that they were in plans to develop, which was a Silver Sable and Black Cat movie. And that movie went through all kinds of issues and then eventually was indefinitely delayed and then canceled. And I'm like, they canceled that. To me, a Silver Sable and Black Cat movie makes way more sense than a Madam Web movie. I could see there being some sort of appeal to a Silver Sable Black Cat movie, and that got canned. So I'm like, how bad must that have been to get canceled before it even get started?
It might not even be an issue of quality. It's just sometimes that shit happens, you know?
Yeah, it's. I like to think that they read it and they threw it out because it was a stinker, and then they read like 4 more stinkers, and they were like, "All right, you know what? Screw it. Let's just make one of these stinkers." They probably.
Hollywood producer late to meet his coke dealer is like, "Fuck it, make this one." I got coke to do.
It's like, dude, we're losing the rights to these Spider-Man characters. Make one of these movies.
Yeah.
The one thing Madam Web has going for it is that for superhero movie standards, I think the budget was relatively low. I still think this is going to be a money loser for the studio overall. But I think if the proposed budgets for even what the Batgirl movie cost compared to this, I think that movie was even more expensive. And obviously it got canned for all the reasons that we've talked about previously. It's kind of old news, but I stick with what I say. I don't think Sony is dumb enough to produce any more Sony Spider-Man adjacent movies beyond Craven unless they're within Venom. I think that they struck oil with Venom. It's a popular character, and even though those movies aren't good, the first one especially made lots of money. It was financially successful. And I think that's a bad movie, but even I think that there's some fun to be had there. Like Tom Hardy's really just going for it, having a good time,
Venom's not
being super weird.
But it is way better than this and way better than Morbius. And yeah, it's definitely not the worst of the bunch. Venom.
The ultimate question is and I have gotten different responses from different people, is which is worse, Morbius or Madam Web? And I think that Madam Web that it might be worse than Morbius, but in talking to Kyle and those after, they disagreed. They said Morbius was even worse.
Do I have to go watch Morbius? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, you haven't seen it, Jahan? No, please, just don't even. It's not even worth it. Not even for research purposes.
Because I like the character, which is the part that kills me.
the
but
problem. I think that's probably why Zach and Kyle hate it more, is because they like the character. And Drew's probably looking at it from a more neutral standpoint, and it's probably not as bad as a movie, but it probably really isn't Morbius and really ruined their character.
fair enough. And Jared Leto sucks. Big butt.
Kyle's quote is that Morbius as a movie has no soul, but neither does Madam Web, for that matter, as far as I'm concerned. Just as a movie. That's it. I mean, Gary, do you have any additional questions about Madam Web, or are you ready for us to move on? And never
I've got
talk
one.
about it
I've got one final question, and this one's for both you guys. Would you certify it fresh?
No.
The movie is not certified fresh. The experience of seeing a movie in general with Jahan is certified fresh.
Oh, I like
Shout
seeing it with
out
you
to
too.
Jahan. Shout out to Jahan, who brought his own snacks to the movie that smelled really good.
I did. I brought sliced cucumbers with tahini and some pretzels in a reusable Superman bag.
I always wondered why you kept that cucumber in your pants. That makes sense.
Yeah, it's for snacks.
It's for snacks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's for snacks.
We can move on now to some quick, fresh movies of the week, which I think I'm the only one that has things listed here, and I'll get through them pretty fast. But the first one is actually a movie that I absolutely adored. It's a movie that's called The Taste of Things. Taste of Things. It is a French film directed by Tran Anh Hung, and it stars Juliette Binoche and Benoit Magimel. I might be pronouncing that wrong. And this is probably the greatest food movie that I've seen in a long time, if not
since
ever.
Jiro dreams of sushi.
Yes, exactly. That is one of the top, absolutely. And would go on a short list of like the best food movies ever. I think The Taste of Things would be up there. This
Okay,
movie is essentially a love story between a man and his cook, who is like he's a gourmet chef, but she's a cook, and they just have a really great relationship. The opening 30
Forbidden
minutes
love between a chef and a cook.
It's this takes place in 1885 in one of the most beautiful kitchens I've seen, and the opening 30 minutes are literally on par with any of the best blockbuster action sequences you've seen in recent years, except it's just all cooking. The food preparation here is just absolutely incredible. The food you're seeing on screen, immaculate. And the love story that's at the center of the movie is wonderful. The food scenes are incredible. It's heartbreaking at times. Just absolutely great movie. It just went into wider release in theaters. So this one's around. But yeah, I absolutely adored The Taste of Things.
Excellent. Sounds good.
Yeah, so that was a really good one. Thomas, if you listen to the show, watch The Taste of Things. As somebody that loves to cook and appreciates the artistry of it, watch The Taste of Things if you get a chance.
It's in
the
theaters, limited release, and we don't know where it's going to be streaming yet.
Yeah, I don't know yet. I was fortunate enough to be able to get a screener of this one to watch it. I know it's in theaters here, like it's showing at Alamo Drafthouse and some others. I don't know when it'll come to streaming or where.
Seems like something that one of these, Apple or somebody, will try to buy, just from what you're saying.
Absolutely. I could see that. The other thing that I watched, oh boy. I watched This Is Me Now, A Love Story, which I went into this with the wrong impression. So this is on Amazon Prime, and it is a visual album from Jennifer Lopez. Now, Jennifer Lopez, I went into this thinking this was a documentary about Jennifer Lopez called This Is Me Now, A Love Story, thinking it was going to be about like, oh, her relationship with Ben Affleck and her career recently and so on and so forth. There is something along those lines coming later this month, but this is strictly a like musical visual album from her recent studio album that came out this year. And this is just a total Jennifer Lopez passion project of like her trying to be self-aware of how she's viewed in media and in tabloids, and trying to like get ahead of it and share her personal feelings through this visual album that's just didn't really work for me very much, and I didn't think many of the songs were that good. This was just not for me. So I went into it expecting a documentary, realized what it was, still watched the whole thing, and didn't like it very much. So I can't say that I
Fair enough.
I know that Jennifer
recommend this.
Lopez has listened to every episode, and this is just this is for you, Jennifer Lopez. Nobody cares about you or what the media says about you. So to stay ahead of it, no one cares. No one cares about you. You don't matter. All right.
Here's my thing with Jennifer. Not to get on like a big Jennifer Lopez tangent here, but I am a big, not big. I'm a Ben Affleck fan. Like I like him in movies, and I think just his personal life outside of movies is very interesting, and I think he's like an actually self-aware guy, and if you listen to interviews with him, he seems super down to earth and whatnot.
Oh man, I've heard him. He seems like a super good dude in real life.
Yeah,
like straight up.
And I watched a Jennifer Lopez Netflix documentary called Halftime that came out in 2022. I think I talked about it on this show. Back around the time that came out, and I watched that, and it was just really interesting behind the curtains of her. It was like a lot of it talking about when she thought she was going to get nominated for an Oscar for Hustlers, and she was nominated for the Golden Globe but didn't win it. And the thing is about Jennifer Lopez, she cares a lot about all these kinds of things and how she's perceived and everything. And like that's what's coming through in this visual album she made. Is it's like she obviously cares and wants people to know how she's feeling, and like I don't know, it's just not for me. I didn't enjoy it very much.
Doesn't sound like
I
something I would enjoy either, man.
I wouldn't recommend it, but it is on Amazon Prime if anybody's interested in checking it out. But there's an interesting scene in it where there's the Zodiac are there, and they're all represented by people, and it's like Post Malone and like all these people play like the different Zodiac council, and it's very strange.
Is Post Malone a centaur?
Oh, who all's in it? I
bet you
closed out my Wikipedia page
because he's a big nerd.
No, he's not a centaur, but he plays Leo.
Oh, okay.
He's the Leo in it. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's
don't
not
worry
good.
about it.
I don't recommend it.
Shall we move on to Fresh TV of the Week, bud?
I gotta tell you
do.
guys, I just binged Post Malone Centaur, and I did not get what I wanted. There's nothing explicit, but I just didn't get what I wanted.
I like it. That's funny.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Fresh TV of the Week. Do you want to kick it off with your one watch here, Drew?
I can. Just since I've been talking, I can throw this out there because I don't have much to say about it. I started the new season with my wife of Love is Blind. And Gary, do you watch Love is Blind? I can't remember if this has been on your rotation of Netflix reality shows.
I've seen it. I know what it is. I do not particularly like it.
I've been watching.
Yeah. Oh, you have been, John?
Yeah, me and Jen have been watching this.
Okay, so yeah, my wife likes it. I was watching it last night with her, and I do think that there's interesting things in it. This kind of type of reality show. I like when they're like behind the wall stuff more than when they all get to meet and when it goes on from there.
My favorite part
this is the part I'm
is
most
the
interested in.
Inconsistencies between what they promised behind the wall and the reality that they face in real life is really funny to me.
I have beef with one of the contestants. I don't remember his name. He's like a big, beefy muscle guy with a mullet. And
Trevor.
At one point, he's talking to a girl behind the wall, and he's like talking about one of his favorite things. He's like, one of my favorite things, comfort things, is to sit down and watch a really long movie. And I'm like, all right, my guy. Like, okay, I'm here for it. And she's like, well, what's your favorite movie? Or give an example. And he says, oh, like The Notebook and A Walk to Remember. And immediately I'm out on this guy. This guy's a fucking hack. Just if that's what you're listing as your long favorite movies, get out of town, bro.
Red
Nah,
That's
man, he's just naming stuff to
Red
get
flags.
laid.
Red flags, dude.
Nah, you
Red
should see-
flags over that guy.
Hack.
You should see the guy that girl actually ended up with. That guy's a dickhead. But yeah.
Oh boy. Well, don't spoil. I've only seen the first 2 episodes, so
Okay. Well,
I do plan
enjoy-
to watch more.
Oh, well, I don't even know who he's talking to necessarily. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like the show. It's interesting. It's an interesting concept. It's fun to see. I've been trying to... Jenny really likes this kind of stuff, so as a good partner, I'm attempting. And, I got into it. It's entertaining. This show's pretty good. If you like reality TV, this is a good reality television show. So check it out.
I feel like nobody's more transparent than all of us on this show as being fans of trash reality TV. So I'm not like arguing, but I will say I had watched season 5 was the first season I watched, and I got pretty bored of that season because really only 2 of the couples kind of like survive through the season of the show. Not to say they stay together, but like it really focuses on 2 main couples after you get out of the pods. And this season, at least where I'm at so far, seems like there's going to be a lot more couples.
There are.
So I'm interested to see where that goes, because to me, that means more entertainment long term.
I think there's something really cool in that show. Like you said, the being on the opposite sides of the wall, I think that's a cool reality show mechanic. But I don't care that it's a love dating show and that in the end they probably don't stay together. And it was pretty much all a huge waste of my time anyways. That show doesn't do it, but I do like some of the mechanics they have. Like if you took the wall thing and put it in the traders, where like maybe the traders didn't know who the other traders were, so you were anonymous behind walls when you had to talk.
Oh, I like that twist, Gary. That's a great twist.
But that's
Like,
just
there's
the circle or whatever.
There's something cool there, and the circle is cool. I like the circle too.
I like the circle, yeah.
And the circle's cool because they can change all the rules on the fly at any time, and they do different stuff.
I
all
like
the
how
time every
sometimes
season.
they'll bring somebody back as a different person in the circle. That shit's
Yeah,
hilarious.
dude. The circle's nasty. The circle's awesome like that. But yeah, I think the wall thing is really cool. I think there's something cool about it, but the rest
Same.
of the other half of the show isn't for me.
That is Love is Blind, available on Netflix. I'm going to move on to my fresh picks for TV. I've been making an effort to bring you more anime picks, y'all. So I checked out Psycho-Pass. Psycho-Pass is available on Hulu. This is a very interesting dystopian future anime in which essentially technology allows you to see into people's minds more or less, and you can kind of assess their mental health. And through that assessment, they give you an aptitude ranking that determines how likely you are to commit a crime. And if you exceed certain levels, they will arrest you, whether you've done anything wrong or not.
Yo, it's just like Minority Report.
It's,
and
yeah,
Webb.
when you talked about Minority Report earlier, I was like, oh man, I have something later that's like Minority. This is just like Minority Report. They're stopping crimes before they happen, essentially. But the crew that's doing it, they're made up of inspectors who are, detectives, and then they're enforcers who are people that have been deemed psychotic by this system and that aren't allowed to have their freedom anymore, so they can either do this or live in isolation in jail. And so they do this. It's a really interesting concept. Gary, hard trigger warnings, buddy. I don't know if this one's necessarily for you. The first episode has some SA.
Nut. How many dead kids are in this show?
None
on a
yet.
scale of- Okay.
I've
I
only
like
seen
that.
a little bit of this. None yet. I like it. I think it's a good show. I'm going to keep with it. The next show, after one episode, dead kid tallies at 1, but you don't really see it. So it's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and go with that right out the bat. So this show, it's an Adult Swim anime. So Adult Swim's bringing us that hot anime action again. I believe you can catch this on Max as well now because they have a deal or whatever. But this is called Ninja Kamui. And the best way I can describe this is it's kind of... it's ninjas, but it takes place in modern day, like somewhat futuristic times. Like, so it's like 2030-ish, technology wise. Takes place, so far it's taken place in America. and there's ninjas doing ninja shit. Really cool fight scenes. Some pretty horrifically bloody fight scenes. Pretty awesome stuff, honestly. I really liked the fight scenes. Fun stuff. And someone busted out some ninja hand signs in this episode and started doing some like Naruto style ninjutsu. So it was pretty cool. It's like
Are you
Naruto.
talking about ninja magic right now?
Ninja magic, dude. Talking about ninja
Yeah,
magic,
I
dude.
thought you were talking about ninja magic. That's why I had to ask.
And it's pretty cool so far. I only watched the first episode. I think only 2 are out so far. So this is a weekly one. But yeah, Ninja Kamui. It's at the very cutting edge of brand new anime. This is as fresh as it's going to get when it comes to anime. So I absolutely suggest both of the ones I said. Psycho Pass on Hulu, Ninja Kamui on Adult Swim / HBO Max. Both are anime fresh, certified by yours truly, Jahan. Check them out. I am going to be trying to keep up with anime a little bit more and watch more and, yeah, bring you guys that hot anime action.
I've been watching the same stuff I've been watching.
Yeah.
Just some Traders. I started watching, I got all caught up. Now I'm watching Traders Australia. I'm that guy. I'm going to have to finish watching Traders Australia and then Traders UK before I bring you guys anything interesting.
Fair enough, man. It's no big deal. Looks like we don't have any fresh games. Like we said earlier, me and Gary are just playing Overwatch 2, so no news there.
Overwatch. And then last week I talked about Attack on Titan.
And Attack on Titan, yeah.
We've been playing some Smite, but nothing new and nothing that's worth saying it's fresh. I know that within the next week or two there's a game called X Defiant coming out. That's supposed to be the new free shooter that everybody's playing.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, we'll probably be talking to you with a new game, X Defiant, soon. Keep your eyes out, keep your ears open, and play the free game so you can talk to us about it too.
Absolutely. And that brings us to our fresh picks of the week. Gary, go ahead and kick us off.
Mine is Attack on Titan 2, the game. I told you guys I got it on sale for like $30, I think. It was a $70 game. I've put 40 hours into it now. I'm 96% done with the campaign. I literally have one mission left, so I slammed on the brakes and started doing all of the side quest content. And I hit a wall, finally, where I'm not overpowered anymore, and the game is appropriately difficult. So I'm having a good time, and it's like I can only play for like 2 or 3 hours at a time, because once Titans start crushing you and eating you, you just get a little annoyed with it, and you say, that's enough Titans killing me for one day. They do busted stuff, Jahan. You've seen Attack on Titan.
I've seen Attack on Titan, yeah.
They can one-hit you. They can one-hit you when you have full health, max everything. Titans can still one-hit you.
Yeah, they're 10 times your size, of course.
I was at the end of a 45-minute mission. 45-minute mission. And this dude is one hit left. It's one of the Iron Titans. And I didn't hit my health potion. I didn't hit it yet. I didn't drink it yet. And this dude belly flops in the air, like full speed, belly flop move, boom, hits me and kills me after 45 minutes. And I was like, huh? But no! I just turned it off, dude. That's when I decided I was going to play Smite before work instead of Attack on Titan.
No, man. Totally understand
That's
that.
my pick. That's my fresh pick of the week. If you think Attack on Titan's cool, if you think the idea is cool, if you think ODM gear and that movement is cool, you'll like this game. The game plays great. It's super fun. Catch it on a discount, and if you're an Attack on Titan fan, even better. I'm not, and I don't think it matters.
Excellent. My fresh pick of the week is Ninja Kume. Like I said, it is a brand new, fresh anime for your face. Super violent. Really interesting story. Don't know where it's going, and I can't wait to find out. So, yeah, that's my fresh pick of the week. Check it out.
And my fresh pick of the week is The Taste of Things, which I spoke about a little bit earlier. Quickly moved through after a long Madam Web discussion, but not to overshadow The Taste of Things. Great movie, and it is absolutely my fresh pick of the week. And
I like your picks. I like both of your picks.
I like
if
your
I could
pick.
watch both of those, thanks, man. If I could watch both of those tonight, I would. Those sound great.
Hell yeah. Mine's
love it.
really good. I like it a lot. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening. That's it for this week's episode of Fresh Out the Podcast, the greatest podcast on earth. Come interact with us in the Fresh Out the Box Discord. Come check us out on Twitter and Blue Sky. Shoot us your recommendations, stuff that you want us to watch, listen, play, and talk about here on the stream. We're always looking for that fresh gossip. Yeah, I've been the board game guru, game master extraordinaire, Jahananan.
It's me, Casualty CDG, co-host of Fresh Out the Podcast, but also Fresh Out the Box. That's where me and Jahan play tabletop role-playing games with a rotating cast of our friends. We play different games, we do different things, we make funny voices, and we tell stories. So if you're into that kind of thing and using your imagination, we invite you to join us every Thursday and Friday, most Thursdays and Fridays at twitch.tv/Jahananan. It's also Fresh Out the Box TTRPG on YouTube, and there's a Facebook out there somewhere. Thank you guys for your support, and I will see or hear or talk to you on the next thing.
And I am Drew Munhausen, the professional media and movie mastermind. You can find me at Drew Munhausen on all the different social media platforms. This has been a really fun episode 119 of Fresh Out the Podcast. We will be back next time with episode 120, where I'll probably talk a little bit about Dune Part 2, because I've seen it. I have seen
boy.
Part 2.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
That's very exciting. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Stay fresh.
Was it awesome?